My favorite game is Mordheim. And I love this game so much because there's just so much depth to it. I'm obsessed. And I saw a piece of artwork that I absolutely needed to make. And it's in this book. As soon as I saw this piece of art, I knew I had to build it. A skyscraper in Mordheim is basically a no-brainer. Mordheim is a capital city, and some theorize that Sigmar destroyed it for its pride and arrogance, and there's no greater monument to that. This week, we're gonna finish building that terrain piece. I've been spending 8 months on it. The main problem with this board is I have a lot of empty spaces that need filling. There just isn't quite enough detail, and so I'm going to be adding things like architectural details like these skulls, and this is my first time attempting to sculpt them. Usually I'll design an STL and I'll 3D print it, but I think it's good to exercise different techniques and practice some self-improvement, and I actually really like how these turned out. The only problem with doing it this way is it takes a long time, and I do a video every week, so I have to find a better method. And so I'm gonna cast some new architectural details, and luckily last week I got a whole bunch of minis that I found these bat models at the bottom of this bits box, and I'm gonna recast them and use them as gargoyles on this thing. To make a mold, I just made a wood frame with some popsicle sticks, and I got some silicone putty. This is for like dental work, and it's food safe. It doesn't leak because it's not liquid, and so it's really easy to cast with. The thing to remember though is because it's not liquid, you can trap air bubbles inside of it. So I kind of break it up into little pieces, and I press it in with a good amount of force to make sure that I get all the details. And because it's putty, I'm able to stick some models on top using both sides of the mold. And those are actually the casts that I'm going to be using today. I put in some milliput, and while the milliput was still soft, I pressed it into the model, and I was able to actually kind of make them pretty flush into these architectural details. And I really love how this turned out. It was so much better than I anticipated, and I was able to kind of let them contour to the surface, which if I were to do this with resin, I would not have been able to do that. So I went ahead and filled up all the little spaces here, and it's kind of cool to reuse miniatures that were from the old age of Warhammer Fantasy into this thing. I would say over the past 8 months, I've been doing a pretty good job of building some really cool landmarks for this thing, but I haven't been doing a great job connecting them and making this board playable. And that's the mission today too. So on this section, I'm going to be adding some scaffolding, and I really want to make everything playable. So that's including the roofs. Verticality is king on a board that's 3.5 feet tall. And this board is kind of one of a kind. There isn't a ton of reference photos other than stuff that I've made on how to use verticality efficiently. If you have any recommendations for something like that, let me know in the comments, but I'm kind of just making this up as I go, and we're going to be putting in ladders later so that it'll be easier to paint in the future. Building a table that's this vertical makes really obscure rules in the Mordheim rulebook really useful. There's a skill that my vampires got before called scale shear surfaces, and this allows a model to scale twice their movement without making an initiative test, and it makes skills like this a lot more interesting to play with. Alright, so the biggest problem with this thing is it is so huge. Not only is it super tall, it's probably not even in frame. There's 360 degrees of it. Alright, still a little wobbly. That's better. One of the things I really need to do is start plugging holes like I did in this section. I think this looked and turned out really good. I need to do more of it, and I was looking in the Mordheim Living Rulebook, and you can check out in the exploration chart. There's a bunch of prompts of what things are in Mordheim. I love to roll on this table just when I get stuck and I can look for new ideas. So I got double sixes, which is ruined hovels. And in the book it says the street consists of ruined hovels which are leaning over at alarming angles. Not much of worth is there. You find a D6 worth of gold pieces. So I've been crafting up some hovels, and I think these are going to be perfect to kind of fill in these gaps and add a little detail, and I'll be able to like wrap walkways around them too, which I think is going to be perfect to kind of like bridge the gap in between things that are like super disconnected. Like having one here with a walkway around it, I think would be maybe not that one. Maybe this one. And I could put like popsicle sticks under it, and that can bridge this section and that section together with an obstacle in the way. Because right now there's a lot of places you can like shoot from, and I do need to kind of break the line of sight just a little bit more, I think. Oh, I also 3D modeled some hovel pieces that I just glued onto these. So obviously I was scratch building some areas like the popsicle sticks, but I was able to get some fast detail with some 3D printed elements. So you can go check those out for free on my Patreon. I'm also having some issues getting my hands in places. So I think things like this look cool, and I can definitely use them in other places, but I just can't access these buildings to be able to play on them. So sacrifices have to be made, unfortunately, but I think it's gonna make this board so much more playable. The way I do this type of roof is I get what's called jute, and I get mine from the dollar store, and a rope, and then I cut it into small little sections called wefts. And in like the movie industry, this is like how wigs are made. You just grab a little bit of it, and then just like you would place shingles individually, you can do like a whole bundle. Occasionally, it's hot, just like right now. So if you want to press it down, so this is a really fast way to do a thatched roof. And I really like the end result. It is really worth it, although it is a little bit more work. So Something I'm being really conscious of is I could just litter this thing with scaffolding and it would be perfectly playable. I really love the living spaces and the communities that are built into the structures of Necromunda. And so I'm kind of doing my own Mordheim version of that. Just kind of like, I wanted platforms here. And I think if I had just put platforms here, it would have looked fine. But because I put birdhouses here, it explains why the platforms are there. And I think that just adds a lot more dimension to the build. Okay, right now, these don't look impressive, but they're the structure to build on. So all I'm gonna do is rip these balsa wood strips in half. And what this is gonna do is, balsa wood has really clean edges, and I want one that looks like it's been hewn with an axe. I like to use 3D printed bits. I have a whole bunch of free STLs that you can use. Windows are really tedious to craft yourself, so I like to use a shortcut and use my FDM printer. I have completely stopped using my resin printer because I don't like the extra work that it takes to clean it or cure the prints. If you're local to me and you want one, let me know, because yeah, I need to probably get it out of my space. Anything you see neon green on my builds is an STL I've probably designed. So if you need any help tracking them down, because I know I just kind of chaotically put them places, let me know and I'll help out. Just leave a comment, and I usually get back to you in like a day. If not, leave another comment and I'll definitely get back to you. This is the part that needs some ironing out, and I think having walkways inside, yeah, I think that's gonna be perfect. Oh, dude, this thing looks so good. I was just talking to Tina Fielding, and I was saying, like, sometimes I get so caught in the weeds on these little details that I step back and I take in the whole thing and I go, who freaking built this thing? It's been so long, and honestly, I could not be happier. These last final touches this week really just turned it up to 11. And I could be exaggerating, but I'm absolutely not. I love these little buildings. They really add a lot of character and story, and they make such a big difference. But it is completely done. I'm done building on this. Next week, we're gonna paint this thing together. So if you have any questions about it, let me know. But overall, I'm just over the moon with how this thing has turned out. I can't wait to play on this thing. It's gonna be unreal. All right, so make sure you like and comment. It goes a long way to support the channel and make this video go to new people. Make sure you share it. There's a hype button down at the bottom. I really appreciate that. There's also my Patreon, where all these neon green files, that's where they're at. And you can download them all for free. And if you like them, feel free to support the channel by becoming a patron, or just subscribing and following along so that you get the next release of STLs. I have so much fun building this stuff with you guys. The builds are 100% something I like and I build for me, but these videos are specifically for you. So if you really appreciate that, I would appreciate your support by just sharing it around and stuff. All right, have a good one.